Welcome to the second season of Kicks, Cleats, and Athletes. It's your boy, Young EJ. We got our board ops, JD,
Yo, yo.
and our resident pacifist, Jimmy T.
What's up, fellas? How we feeling?
We good. What's good tonight?
Good.
Man.
I'm
Oh,
excited.
you guys know what a pacifist is? You know what that is?
No.
Oh boy,
Ah,
here we
he was
go.
surprised when he knew it was something dope though. Huh? He was just like, yeah, if you intro
Pants.
with it.
Someone that doesn't wear pants.
No. It's just claiming universal knowledge. Pacifist.
All right, that
I think we
was-
lost EJ.
Yeah, I
we
think
got him.
we
He's
did
got
too.
froze on the screen. This is good. This is good
Oh,
stuff
well.
right here, though. This
Yeah,
is must see TV.
That you know what? That's what he
So-
get for trying to use big words.
Right.
on a
Someone who
sports
doesn't wear
podcast.
pants. Do you think that's right?
No, it's not close to being right.
Oh,
But you know what?
I didn't know.
But I'll take it.
We'll find it. We'll find out when he gets
there
back.
he is.
Oh, there he is. Could you hear us while you were frozen in time?
No.
No, you were frozen in time. You started laughing, so we didn't get the meaning, the definition of this word that you made up.
My bad. No, it's claiming universal knowledge. Pacifist.
Oh, claiming universal knowledge. All right. Well, you know
That's
what?
why Jimmy's our resident pacifist with the kicks. You feel
All
me?
right.
Hey, all right.
That's all we have for you
this-
folks tonight. This was
another great show. Oh man, but nah, we got a great show in store for you guys tonight. We're definitely gonna hit you with some Dion in Colorado versus TCU,
Oh boy.
FSU versus LSU. So we got to hit you with that college. We're definitely gonna hit you with our NFC divisional picks this week, and we can't leave you without kicks of the week and some trivia. So we are going to jump right in and hop on to the Colorado versus TCU. Now, for anyone that's been living under a rock, Deion Sanders, Mr. Primetime himself, took on the Colorado head coaching job after a few years at Jackson State. Everyone thought the man was crazy because he came in and did things his way. He got rid of everybody that didn't want to be there, brought in a whole new team for the most part, and everyone was waiting to see what this experiment was going to look like. And on Saturday, we all witnessed. It was actually the second highest viewed game of the weekend.
Oh boy.
Yes, they had the second highest viewership. The first was actually the Florida State LSU game,
which was a standalone game.
Exactly. So this was a big one for a Saturday, and a Saturday at noon. By the way, it wasn't even like it was a primetime game. It was Saturday at noon, and Colorado defeated TCU 45-42 in a great match and in a great showing for Colorado and Deion and his squad. So, fellas, what we thinking about the prime era?
Hey, who? Frank Sinatra said he did it my way. Yo, Prime Time does it his way, and I love it. Yo, you could just see his swagger all over that team. Just the way they looked as a team, you could see Prime Time's fingerprints. Like literally, I was there at noon waiting for that game to come on. Like I like Colorado. I can't tell you. I don't know when the last time I watched the Colorado game, but I was tuned in ready because I was like, I got to see what Primetime does. And man, he not only was that team just a representation of him, but I love how it came down to just the ending of the game. It was a great game offensively, back and forth, and you could see whenever they got a punch thrown at them, they threw one right back. Like to have 4 wide receivers go over 100 yards in a game, that's crazy. Sorry, 3 wide receivers and a running back all get over 100 yards in reception yards is insane. And I might just call it, man. Shedeur Sanders is probably the most accurate quarterback in the country. Like, his accuracy was crazy. There was drop balls out there. I was like, man, this dude is just throwing it on the money. And I think what made me really happy about it is a lot of these players were the same ones that were playing at the HBCUs. So it just goes to show you that there's talent at these places and that they can play. So they should also get looks as far as, drafting big time programs. It was just, I don't know if you could have come off any better for an opening statement game under Deion Sanders' tutelage than how those boys came out and how they responded, and the swagged out post game press conference. And one last thing, man, Travis Hunter is that dude. He is that dude.
Fair enough. Fair enough. He is. Jimmy T, what you got?
I just want to say that I know Travis Hunter got all the hype, and Shedeur Sanders, of course, 500. He broke a record in his first game in Colorado. Program record. That's wild. Wild stuff. But Dylan Edwards, he's a running back for them. They didn't run it all that much in this game. Mm-hmm. 34 carries, but that was spread over about 5 people. But he went for 5 receptions, 135, and 3 touchdowns. Impressive. I mean, he scored the winning touchdown on that, and he was. I mean, the angle on it looked like it was going to be good, and he was gone.
He's a freshman, right?
I'm not sure what year he's in.
Yes, he is.
He's a freshman.
He is. Because he's one of the players that's been with Deion ever since he was in the youth system. So he's just been, and he told Deion, look, wherever you go, I'm going.
Yep, freshman, 5'9", 170 pounds. He's from where is he from? Derby,
just
Kansas.
The trust that they have in that man. Yeah. You know what I mean? To be like, I'll follow you wherever you go, Prime.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the biggest takeaway that I see is that when you make a move like this, when you overhaul an entire roster, you want to change the program to what you want it to look like, you got to have the quarterback. And I think it's
true.
I think it's even much more of a great story, the fact that it's his son.
Yeah.
So we honestly, guys, if we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this if it wasn't Deion. If it was another coach, we might have, dabbled in it here and there. Oh, it was impressive outing, things like that. But it's Deion. It's prime time. It's who we grew up with, the high knees and, showing everybody up on, played both ways, went to Florida State, like everything that we know about prime, so, but that's, when you want to bring it, what were they? Did they win a game last year? 1-10 maybe?
They won one game last year.
1-11. Yeah. So if you come out, and we don't know how good TCU is, we don't know how good Colorado is going to be throughout the rest of the season, but just it's already looking like he's put a stamp on it. So it'll be fun to watch. I'm excited to see it as well. I was one of the viewers. I wanted to see it. I mean, it was one of the more intriguing games, but it also, like, there wasn't a ton of ranked versus ranked this year. And then this one being at noon, you were excited for college football to be back. So you woke up, you're like, all right, what's on? You looked up Colorado TCU. So you were going to put that one on. So
True.
Yeah, but to me, just to reiterate what I was saying, you got to have the quarterback. College football is based on, football in general, but you can't win unless you got the quarterback. So he's got it.
I'm with you.
Yeah, he's got it, 500 yards. And listen, they got three, I should say, right now that if they play like that on offense all year long, they're going to have something to say about the Heisman race.
I'll tell you what, though. He definitely put his name in that hat. I mean, both him and Travis Hunter put their name in that hat for, the Heisman watch. Because let's be real, at the end of the day, that's who they are. That's what they're going to do. And it's not like, the Pac-12 is just so amazing.
Yeah, they're probably going to give up. Sorry not to interrupt you, Jason. Just they're probably going to give up a ton of points too. The defense wasn't out there show stopping, so they're going to have to put up points to win games.
And they will. And I mean, let's be real. They played a TCU team that was just in a national championship game earlier this year. So, a ranked team. Obviously, they do have a new offensive coordinator this year because their offensive coordinator went to Clemson. So they have a new one this year at TCU. So, one of those where, they might still be working out the bugs and the kicks and the kinks and all of that. But I'll tell you what, that loss definitely hurt them. It's going to be hard to climb out of that hole, and especially if they're trying to repeat what they did last year. And now I think for Colorado, the expectations have just soared through the roof. I think for a lot of people, at least for me, that first game was and I believe I was texting you, EJ. I was like, if they lose this game, it's fine because how they looked and the way they performed and the way they competed, it was a win. It was like, okay, I could see Colorado winning some games, and so it wasn't going to be well, Colorado still sucks if they would have lost that game because you saw the fight in them. But now that they won that game and the way they looked winning that game, the expectations are high because now they have to go out and almost blow out a subpar Nebraska team this weekend to make a statement to be like, nah, last week wasn't a fluke. We are legit. And I think if there's anything short of that, at least this weekend, we're going to start looking like, well, maybe they just had they had a hype and everything like that. So they just looked good, felt good that first week. So I think this week against Nebraska is going to have to be a statement win because, again, Nebraska's not that good.
It'll be a sellout. It's their first home game.
Oh, it's their first
I mean, they haven't been excited about
spring
college
game.
football. Yeah. They haven't been excited about college football in Denver. And how long?
I hope they pay.
Ever.
I hope they old song. Must be the Monday. Just
Yeah.
have Dion.
Well, listen, like, and the way that Dion's going about it is I love it. So I'm all about it. He's talking like a player. He has his players' backs. He's calling out reporters, things like that. And I'm all about that. And if you do it, you paint a target on your back as well. So, he's got to have his teams ready to play. Because then it's gonna go right back to what Jason said. All right, well, maybe we jumped the gun a little bit, but it's prime, and that's what he's gonna do.
I mean, he got the horses to back it up. I mean, they got weapons on that team. Like offensively, I was like, man, like they look hard to stop.
Yeah, and I'll say this: TCU had a lot of attrition too. Like when we get to these TCU type teams, where they kind of go through the building process, and they're a little bit older. They have they go through the growing pains, all that, and they get a little older and they get on the hot run. Well, a lot of those players either graduate out or go to go to the NFL, and they had a ton of that. Quarterback's gone, number one wide receiver gone, running back gone, a couple guys off of their offensive line were gone, a bunch of guys off their defense is gone. So it's still to see, like Jason said, the Pac-12 isn't anything, especially defensively, to really kind of get excited about. So that, I think we all love to see them continue to do what they did on offense. But there's going to be more talented teams that they're going to go against in the Pac-12, USC, Oregon, Utah. You'll play teams like that have established programs. Those will be the barometer games. But listen, first game that we're talking about right now. So we'll see how it goes.
I love it, man. Prime time. Yo, Boulder, Colorado is going to be the place to be. On that campus, you're going to watch the celebrities that just come out there. They're going to be on the sidelines now. Like, what I mean? It's just going to have such a different feel with prime time. Like, Michael Irvin was at the game. He don't got nothing to do with Colorado. I've seen him on the sidelines, Dylan.
That's his teammate.
Following Gilly, like, we coming to the next game. You feel me? Like, it's a culture where you would want to go and play if you were a player. If you were a kid and like, man, someone who relates to me, who I can talk to. And, I just like the energy. I like the vibe that they got out there.
It's a good point you made, EJ. Yeah. Think about the USC game.
Yep.
You got Bronny there. LeBron will probably be there. It'll be one of these celebrity type, everybody showing up. All the alumni is coming back. You'll have Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, all those boys back on. Keyshawn's at all the USC games, but you'll have all of them out there. So it'll be. You're absolutely right. It's a good point. He brings that celebrity status with him, and it'll always be something. I mean, College Game Day is going to try to make it out to Boulder.
Oh, easy.
Of course. So, and I mean, I'm not sure what their schedule is, but do they play USC this year?
Yeah, let me look. I know I mentioned them a couple times, but let's see where they're at. That's where they're playing this year.
I think if you have a matchup like that. They play USC at the end of the month, September 30th. So but they play Oregon the week before that.
Yeah. So you'll start getting in the meat and potatoes of the Pac-12.
Correct. So it's going to be one of those where it's going to be very interesting because
Prime time games, probably.
Oh, they will be for
they
sure.
Yeah.
will
I mean, it's
be.
on the West
And,
Coast
and
too,
you
so
know,
it's
those
gonna be
Yeah, because those they're definitely going to make sure that they're there. As far as like college game day, those are going to be big, especially if by then they're still undefeated, which they should be. I mean, they play Nebraska this weekend, and then Colorado State. So you would assume that when they meet up with Oregon, they're going to be 3-0.
Yeah, that'd be a nice little matchup.
Yep. And then if they find a way to get through Oregon, I mean, the very next week they're going to be tested again against USC, and that's going to make or break their season right there, and that's going to make or break USC season as well.
Yeah, yeah, because a one loss SEC, teams getting in. So
I mean, you think this year?
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I
It's
don't
the SEC
know.
it's
still,
too
bro.
early. It's too early to get into all that. I
I
don't
just,
know.
I just know how it's. I mean, well, I
I
have a
don't.
feeling that because look, what's the ACC guy? I mean, Clemson already done lost to Duke. I don't know if Duke is that good or Clemson's just that bad. Like I don't know about that.
ACC is only going to get one team in, and it's going to be Florida State.
There we go. And then
It's
what? I
gonna be
mean,
Florida
what?
State.
Michigan, like Ohio State, I don't know.
Well, Ohio State. I mean, I know it's not one of the schools that we're talking about, but I mean, they just look mediocre.
Yeah, you
They
feel me?
didn't look. I mean, granted, yes, new quarterback, all of these things, but they just I don't know. Against Indiana, they weren't it. That wasn't it.
I feel you. I know
So
who didn't look mediocre, man. That dang nose, man. Ugh,
yeah, let's jump right into that. I mean,
too good to be. I was like, what is this?
they, what's funny about that, and I'm glad it happened because LSU's always trying to claim that they're DBU. Boy, their DBs are terrible.
Keon Cole just
They
That
got
man,
own them boys.
destroyed.
he came from Michigan State. I was like, what?
I mean, they were just awful, 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 awful. And so I laugh. I laughed. That butt whipping they got, they deserve it. They
It's just hard
deserve
for
it.
me ever to relish, when FSU does well. I'm just like, nah. It's
Well,
just,
my whole
college
thing
football is
was
better though when the Florida schools are good. So
I
this
feel
is
you.
one notch.
We play them every year.
Yeah.
I've grown to not like FSU.
it's
Well,
same.
we hate them. Well, what you
And
mean?
I
They're
mean,
our rival.
it's
Yeah.
one of those where if both schools were able to lose, that would have been great. But obviously that wasn't a possibility.
Yeah.
So it kind of just
Yeah, talk about tale of two halves in that one because FSU really, I mean, it was what they were down at halftime, right?
17-14, Florida State was getting flagged left and right for some things that were a little ticky-tacky, other things that are just dumb, boneheaded decisions by players. But just looking at what Florida State has in front of them, I mean, if Clemson looked the way they looked the other night, that's no good. And then they play Duke, and then everything else on this schedule, I mean, they're gonna run through it for the most part. So it's I hope not. I hope there's a couple of slip ups across the way, but they look good. They manhandled them in the second half. I mean, it was when you said tale of two halves, it was it looked like it could be an even matchup all the way through in the first half, and then the second half, I mean, Florida State just absolutely dominated them.
Yeah, definitely.
In the trenches. I know you talked about the wide receiver, but it was in the trenches. I mean, they were getting pushed around in the trenches.
I definitely thought that it was going to be a close one like last year. Like I thought that's where we were headed for, and then all of a sudden, because if you look at that game, LSU's defensive line is the truth because they were getting after Jordan Travis. I mean, I'm like, oh, this man is running for his life, but they were never able to get him, and he found a way to find the open receiver or just throw it up there, and the receivers would just body the DBs. So I don't know. It was like I said, it was I don't know, it was a bittersweet.
You're
I was
surprised,
happy.
right? I didn't
Oh,
expect to see them like that.
me either. Jordan
I felt
Travis.
like it would be a close game, but Jordan, you said that he was running for his life. I mean, I feel like he lives that way.
Yeah,
Every
he's
time
out.
you turn on a Florida State game, he's running around in circles like he's Johnny Manziel back there.
But I mean, what he threw for 4 touchdowns, right? Ran
Yeah, I
for another.
mean,
Yeah, he was
yeah,
cooking.
342 passing yards. I mean, he was moving.
He was. I mean, but like I said, that line was getting to him, and and that's the big thing during the first half. That line was really getting to him, and it made it close. But then, he was able to always get out of a situation. Third and long, and they were getting the first down, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're as good as they looked, or as Florida State is. I mean, as LSU is bad. That's the question. Does
I mean,
FSU look
That's a lot of
good, or does
questions
yeah,
LSU look bad?
across
I don't.
college football, right? You see this every year where a team looks like they're lost and then they kind of bounce back, and then a team looks like they're going to be unbeatable, and they just spiral out of control by the end of the year. So it's still too early to tell. We're going off of a small sample size, but if we're going off of what we saw, I mean, it looks like both. LSU could be a 500 football team, and Florida State could run the table with their weak ass schedule.
I mean, are we sure that Brian Kelly is the guy for LSU? I'm not saying he's a guy, but is he the guy for LSU?
For
Because
me, once he made up that fake New Orleans accent, he was not the guy anymore. They should have just been like, no, listen, your contract is null and void, sir.
that was hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
It was. I mean, but I don't know. Like you said, it's season is fresh,
Indeed,
so who knows what they might look like? Because I mean, LSU got it together last year. I mean, they lost the first game of the season to FSU, and they won the SEC. I mean, they made it to the SEC
yeah,
championship,
for
I should
championship.
say. Uh,
Indeed,
so who knows what can happen. I don't know.
I feel like they've never really solid. He hasn't gotten his guy for like, as a quarterback. Like it seems like they were like rotating quarterbacks last year, and then I'm not even sure if the quarterback they have. I mean, we'll see, but I'm not sure if he's going to be the guy.
We're talking about LSU.
Yeah, because he
Well,
looked kind of. He looked kind of.
Jaden Daniels was his guy coming in. I mean, I don't know if it was his guy transferring in to him. I think he might have decided before he took the job, but he started every game last year. He's the guy. He's a kid that came over from Arizona State.
I
Last
thought
year.
they had. What was the quarterback's name?
You're talking about the guy who followed up the Joe Burrow, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he ended up transferring out.
his dad played.
He might even got hurt, and then Jaden Daniels passed him, and I'd have to look it up. But if I remember correctly, I think he either got hurt and transferred out, or he
Yeah,
got beat out and transferred out. One of the two. But Jaden Daniels was the guy all year long last year, and that's why the nation was so high on him, because the way they played towards the end of the year, closing that out and going to the SEC championship. After kind of wobbling around a little bit in the beginning of the year, but he played well. Yeah, he put up big numbers.
But you think he is? So do you think he is going to? What do you think he's the quarterback for them?
This year, or just the
Well, I
guy who
mean,
to help them win
the
championships?
guy in general. Do you think
it didn't
he's
look good the second half at all. It did not look good.
Well,
so?
listen, LSU's in the top 10 in
Yeah.
recruiting every year. So there's definitely a guy or two behind him, but it's not a guy or two that we've seen play. So it's tough to say. Like there's talent behind him for sure, but he started as a freshman in Arizona State. So there's not a lot of quarterbacks with the experience that he has to, unless he starts going south quickly, he's going to be the guy playing quarterback for them. And does Brian Kelly seem like a guy who's really going to go to a freshman or a sophomore quarterback that's never played before? He just seems like he's stubborn. You know what I mean? Like he's no, this is our guy. We're not going to go there.
Well, he can't afford to be stubborn with those LSU fans. He
Well,
can't afford to be stubborn.
He can't. I mean, so do you think? Well, do you think after week 1 he's on the hot seat?
I'm not gonna say he's on the hot seat, but
Brian Kelly,
yeah,
Yeah.
he's getting paid
but
$100 million. That
yeah,
man's seat is cold as ice right now.
let him have some slip ups.
Yeah, and they're going through the whole Title IX situation. The president of the university and athletic department not firing Brian Kelly after paying him what they're paying him to steal him away from Notre Dame. He's got a couple more years. You see the same thing's happening with Jimbo. They made Jimbo give up his play calling duties.
Yeah,
It was like, listen, we're not going to fire you, but you better do something. And
yeah, something has to change.
something has to change. So he had to hire an offensive coordinator. It's going to be the same thing with Brian Kelly if it kind of goes in that same direction. But he's not on the hot seat, not for $100 million, and the sanctions that they're already dealing with through the Title IX situation. So I really doubt it.
Oh well, I mean, you know, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It just
I don't think he's an NFL quarterback, Jason. I know you kind of always getting stuck in there like good college quarterback versus being an NFL quarterback. I don't think he gets drafted. I think he's drafted. I don't think he gets drafted in the first 4 rounds. So 5, 6, 7, maybe somewhere around there because he does have talent.
He reminds me of Justin Fields, that type of quarterback. You know, I mean, Justin Fields in college threw more.
100%.
You know, he didn't run as much at Ohio State. I feel like he runs a lot more now with the Bears than he did when he was in Ohio State.
Well, that man had his life in offensive line. That was
Justin Fields. Think about who Justin Fields was throwing to, though. I mean, his guys were open. Yes. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. There's another one out there. Jackson Smith and the Jigma. Like those guys are all first round wide receivers. So his guys were open, so he didn't need to run.
But yeah, he's the one running for his life, and so he reminds me of that. Jaden Daniels reminds me of how Justin Fields is now, and so I just don't know if it's going to materialize on the next level because he's got a decent arm, but I think he needs to work on his accuracy. He reminds me in that sense of Anthony Richardson. Has a great arm, but accuracy really wasn't there. So someone may take a flyer on him, but who knows? Who knows? But
he's not built like AR though.
No, he's definitely not built like that. I mean,
Anthony
Richardson
probably weigh like 50 pounds less.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson's the size of a linebacker, so
yeah, that dude is.
That man's a football player. If
unbelievably big.
If you don't work out for him as a quarterback, they're gonna find a place for that man. They're gonna find a place for him.
Now, you know, the eye test is always more telling, but if you're just looking at stats, which I don't like to do, but I mean, he had a fairly accurate game: 22 of 37, 346, touchdown and interception. You know, so those are the numbers he's going to put up this year. Stuff like that. You know, so
I mean,
that's like a Graham Mertz type game. That's what he put up.
You know, but you put that out there with that, you know, Graham Mertz didn't get support from his offensive line, neither Jaden Daniels.
Well, Graham Mertz should have wore a different number. That's what he should have done. He should have picked a different number.
I would say Mertz.
Nobody's gonna ever live him down. He should have taken another number, but it doesn't really matter. But I get it. Like it was 15. You know, you can't really wear the number. Florida should just go ahead and be like, listen, but there's too many scholarship players. But
look, I'll tell you
to retire a number. But I mean,
if Florida struggles this weekend,
man, we better not struggle.
Hold on now. If we struggle or we don't look the part, it's time for Billy Napier to go.
Well,
it's time for him to go. And who you go after next, I don't know. But he is not the answer.
I'm gonna just say it like this: we're too big of a program for Billy Napier. I'm just put it like that. We're just. It's like you gave a Ferrari to somebody who's never driven the Ferrari before. He was like, take it out. You gotta get some. You gotta learn how to drive the Ferrari. He's never driven a Ferrari before.
I agree, but there's someone on this show that feels Napier is the man. I know this isn't something we were going to talk about, but I mean, we kind of got into it because it's the elephant in the room. Florida looked like trash. They look bad. And, I think it's time I think the coach need to go. Game 1 of the second season, time for him to go.
Billy Ho.
Time for him
If
to
we
go.
fire the coach after 2 years and 1 year and 1 game, we don't deserve to have a good football program. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve it.
Wait, hold on. What has he shown you? What have you seen so far that gives you confidence or optimism? Like, yeah,
if you are paying attention to what's actually really happening,
yeah, we lost.
This was supposed to, yes, but they played 80% freshmen and sophomores in this game, Jason.
Whose fault is that?
That's part of the plan. He had to get rid of the worst roster in the SEC last year and start over.
Man,
you can't trying to lose. Ever since Urban Meyer has left, we've been putting Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid instead of tearing it down and starting over.
Look,
right now, we are not the Florida Gators that we think we are by saying, oh, we could just bring somebody in and they're just going to take it and run with it. You have to start somewhere.
You got to remember, we expect greatness. Just like
we need a temporary expectation because we haven't been great since Urban left.
But that's
so you have to be able to start over. You keep putting these coaches on top of what was already on fire.
Yeah,
you
but
need
it's
to
been too
tear
long.
it down and start over.
Look, think about it like this. We talked about FSU, right? FSU was strong in the Bobby Bowden era. Then they fell off towards the end of that. Then they brought in
Jimbo.
I can't even. No. Before Jimbo was
Jimbo was the Jimbo. He succeeded.
He was the successor. Yeah,
he was a successor. He was on. They had named him the successor before Bobby retired. Yeah, so he was
okay.
The guy. He went right into
Jimbo came in.
He kept it going.
Took over. He kept it going. Then he left, and then they brought in Taggart, and that's when they started to go downhill. So their struggles didn't last because they only kept Taggart for 2 years, and they gave him the boot. And now look, they done built themselves back up already.
Yeah.
It's this is Jason. If you're trying to make a point here, it's a bad point because Florida State just had 2 losing seasons under the same coach that you're talking about. 2 losing seasons.
Under who?
They lost to Jackson under Norvell. The after the guy who just beat LSU had 2 losing seasons.
This is Norvell's 3rd year as a coach?
Yes.
And what they do last year?
They were like 6. Oh no, I thought this is his 4th season. No. This is his 4th season. This is 4th season. They went 6-8 or 6 and something. He's had 2 losing seasons. I promise you. They're like 4-8 in 1 season.
I think
they lost to Jackson. They lost to
They lost to They lost to some FCS school. I remember off the Hail Mary in Doak. I remember that. That was like 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, okay, so you want to stick around and live in, just mediocrity for another year and hope that next year is better?
Okay, what happens in the transfer portal era, Jason? What happens? If they fire Billy Napier, his number 3 recruiting class is going to go with him. They're all going to leave and go somewhere else. And then you're starting over again. So you're all starting over again.
So
allow the guy to build.
I have to deal with trash for a year to get the roses at the end. That's what you're saying.
If you want to start something over,
you got to start from the beginning. We are living
They're playing young players. They are playing young players because that's the way that he designed it to go. We're going to play freshmen and sophomores, and we're going to continue to do that. Allow them to get better. And by the time you get into your 3rd and 4th recruiting cycle, now your team is competitive on an older version of the team and a more talented version of it. Dan Mullen was not a good recruiter.
But are we giving him enough time? That's the thing. Do you think he's going to get enough time before the masses are like, no, we can't deal with this. He needs to go because you're looking at it.
My honest question is no, because we got dummies like you wanting to fire the man after 1 game in the season.
Man, because you saw the product on the field,
and it was young
football,
very much young mistakes.
That ain't
very much young mistakes that were happening.
No,
the defense was
have a quarterback.
Well, listen,
I
It's
mean,
the new.
we are hoping that what's his name, Lagway. We are hoping that he stays committed. That's what
He's
we
not
are
going
hoping
anywhere.
for.
He's not going to go anywhere. This kid's okay. Let's talk about that. The number 3 recruiting class ain't going nowhere because I'm gonna tell you unless they fire Bailey Napier. Because I'm gonna tell you why. They're committing to a team that went 6-7 last year, so they're committing to the vision that Bailey Napier is giving them. They're not. If they wanted to go to a winning school, they would have committed to Georgia and Alabama right away. Like if they wanted, like, oh, I want to go win national championships next year. They're committing to the fact that they want to be the ones that turn it around.
Okay. I have a question for you, Jim. I have a question. Do you think that Billy Napier can build Florida into a championship program? That he can win a national championship building a program for Florida?
You think we don't know. We don't know. But we hired the guy.
He's asking what you think.
What I think. I mean, listen, like you. So I've seen the way that he's. For me, I've been saying this for years. Is that we need to stop trying to build on something that's faulty. We need to start it over. So that's job one that I'm a huge believer in. 2, I see the way that they're recruiting and the way that the way that they're bringing in talent coming off a losing season. You have to kind of believe in that. You have to look at the players and see, okay, these are the type of players that he wants to recruit. This is what he's going to bring into his program. So, I mean, there's no way of ever telling, but the fact of the matter is that we hired him. Right, as a school and a university, you hired him. You can't be like, oh, never mind. After 2 years, after a year plus 1 game, that's ridiculous.
I think we should have went and did like a Georgia win. They went and got somebody right off of Saban, right? Someone who's sitting next to him. Let's go get a Kirby Smart.
Napier was on Saban's staff, so
it was like the quality control guy.
He was the wide receivers coach.
And look, I could have been the one.
Okay.
The stallions they had.
Let me ask you guys this: if you're so smart, who was a better candidate that was out there last year?
A better candidate?
Yeah, to name one.
Man,
name one.
Man, lure Lane Kiffin away. He's always ready to go. He's always ready to leave. Lure Lane Kiffin over here. He was going to Auburn until they backdoored him.
Hit that laugh button again, Jason. Hit that laugh button again. This man saying Lane Kiffin. That man, he not staying anywhere. He's not staying loyal to anybody.
Where he's gonna go that's better than us? Where is he going?
But listen,
he already went to Tennessee.
Yeah, and he bailed on them boys.
Ole Miss turned around. Like what? They win like 10 games a year, bro. Like I'm just saying, like I need to see, like.
Listen, we all need to see it, but like you're looking at it too emotionally. You're looking at it as a fan, like, oh shit, we suck again. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, like
fans. How you want us to look at it? We're not coaching.
I know, but you also like you're looking at it too emotionally. Like you have to look at it and say, okay, you're like, oh, I want him gone because we lost. Like that's stupid. That's dumb.
No.
Like you need to look at to see what he's doing.
No.
Now, if we get the year,
if we struggle against McNeese State this weekend, if we struggle or look horrible,
they're not struggling against McNeese State.
Nope. Hold on. If we do, you're still gonna stand on this soapbox like, nah, we good. Just we gotta hang in there. Like, dude, come on now. You know damn well if we look horrible again this weekend, it's heads are gonna roll.
You think they're gonna struggle this weekend?
The way they look, who knows? I hope they don't, but
I mean,
look.
Listen, like every situation is ongoing. It's fluid, right? So if he comes out and he starts laying an egg all year long, of course you start looking at that. But they went on the road to a team that's probably going to win the Pac-12 again, against a team that's been against a guy who has been building that program since Urban Meyer left. So how many years has that been? 15, 16 years now?
We lost to a second and third string quarterback.
Indeed.
That's a program, though. That's a program, though. They've been building that program. They've had that in place. So Utah
is a better program than Florida
right now.
This year,
right? And everybody got excited. You had, and then the quarterback play went up and down for the rest of the year. And the defense, and I'll tell you this, the defense 100% looked better this year in that first game. They would have gave up 60 last year if it was that defense. It was the worst defense that Florida's ever fielded. talent-wise, and listen, he let his guy go. He's got a new guy in there calling plays for defense. The
You
one
saw
thing
that? You saw the guy? No, never mind. I'm talking about our defensive coordinator. Who's our defensive
his name is Austin Armstrong.
Okay.
But
I'll tell you what though, after the very first play of the game, after that, the defense, I will say the defense tightened up. It's just the offense couldn't do anything.
I don't think
the offense put them in bad positions. The first play was Jason Marshall who gave that up. It was a miscommunication, and he didn't give up a touchdown all year long on that worst last year on that worst defense. So like I'm not worried about that. After that though, they were put in the bad position. They had the special teams blunder where the freshman didn't change his number, and then they had the turnover off of Ricky Pearsall's hands that gave him those situations. So, they gave up 20. They gave up 7 points on the defense. Other than that, they played well.
Yeah, how you not know? How's there not someone on the team looking out for this? 2 players with the same number on. Like, how you don't have a quality control person that is looking at these players? Like, listen, two people have the same number going on the field at the same time. It was just like mental mistakes like that. I'm like, that's. It seems like
not. According to Jimmy, is freshmen and sophomores, so they were young and dumb.
And that's the coaching. I'm not saying it's Billy Napier. I'm just saying in totality, that's the coach. You got to know who your personnel is.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, like, and I'll say this about Billy, right? I'm a fan of the system that he has, but he needs a running quarterback. As far as the offense, he needs a running quarterback and needs speed at wide receivers. He's done great on the recruiting trail on both, but you have to come off of this big, slow, tall receivers that we had under Mullen to be able to make this offense work. And I'll tell you this as well. Head coach, we just talked about it with Jimbo Fisher. Head coaches get fired for being stubborn. If he cannot get better in some of the situations and the play calls, he needs to hand over the keys to someone else or he needs to hire somebody. Because he will get himself fired if that doesn't change. But
yeah, Billy Napier definitely needs to hand over the offensive reins to somebody. He needs to stop calling plays.
Yeah, Prince can't be running like Tebow out there. He got a little one time. I was like, good.
And I was a little surprised by the offensive line play because of how good they were last year. But they were missing 2 starters on the front side, so hopefully they get them back. But there's just too many mental mistakes in this football game. So that's what I'll be looking for, Jason. Do they get that cleaned up? Do those younger players begin to contribute and not make those mistakes later in the year? That's what I'll be looking for.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how it looks this weekend, and we go from there. But you know what? Let's I know we were supposed to talk a little Clemson Duke, but I think we'll just skip over that. Clemson sucks. Duke
We'll
won.
just say this to the professor that won't let my man turn in his homework late. And, like, come on, bro. That's a recruiting killer. And then 2, who was the offensive line that snitched on him? That's supposed to be your guy.
Yeah, for real.
What?
2 of them as well.
I'm not sure if it's real or not, but he's like that. He named the offensive lineman. He was like the offensive lineman. The rest of the offensive linemen said that they turned their homework in. Well, you're not the quarterback, sir. He doesn't have to study as much film as you.
Who knows? Those offensive linemen might not even be starters. So who knows? But
big man.
Let's jump into some NFL. NFL kicks off tomorrow night.
Let's go.
Kansas City and Detroit kicking off our NFL season. Excited about that. So last week we gave you guys our AFC predictions for our divisional winners. This week we're going to hit you with the NFC. So let's jump into, let's go with the NFC East. So in that one, we have Dallas, the Giants, the Commanders, right? Or the Generals.
Commanders and Eagles. Yeah.
And then the Eagles. I can't remember what they named now. So we know the Eagles are reigning NFC champions. Also, the reigning NFC East champions. Do they repeat?
There's something real funny about this division because no one ever repeats.
How long has it been? It's like 12 years, right? 12 years running?
Hasn't been a repeat champion of this division. So it makes me a little leery of the Eagles repeating. Also, being the loser of the Super Bowl, you usually have maybe like a little Super Bowl lag over. You're like, dang, I didn't get it. So it pains me to say this. I'm gonna go with. I can't even do it, man. I was gonna say the Cowgirls. I can't even bring myself to do it because I know something is gonna happen with them. Jerry Jones gonna do something. Somebody's gonna do something. Dak's gonna throw an interception. So you know what? Because I'm here in New York, I'm gonna go with the Giants. I'm gonna say they're gonna win the division this year. I'm gonna go with the Giants. I think their defense is better than people expect. I think they're gonna hit the hefty dose.
Yeah, I forgot you said you wouldn't. I forgot you said you wasn't feeling well. It makes sense. That pick makes sense.
A hefty dose of Saquon, which is a heck of a playmaker, and they added Darren Waller, who I think is going to thrive in that system. I think he's going to be a big red zone target, probably the best receiving target that Daniel Jones has. So I'm gonna go with the Giants.
I definitely like the Waller pickup. I mean, other than that, I think the Giants will be mediocre. I think last year was a fluke year for them, and it got Daniel Jones paid, but they're definitely not winning.
I like their coach. I like him.
He's all right.
Brian Daboll?
Yeah. I just things I've seen from him, just like how he interacts with the player. I think he coaches well. Like I like how he rocks.
Okay.
I like Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
I like him.
All right. Jimmy T, who you got with this division?
I like the Eagles to break the history here.
Okay.
I think the roster is just too good. They've continued to. I mean, they've lost a couple of people, but the offensive line is still going to be top 5 in the league.
Lost some people from that.
I don't know how much of a leap Hurts can take from how he performed last year, but I think he probably solidifies some areas that he wants to. Works on a couple of things. You still have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith on the outside. I do think this division is going to be competitive, though. I think the last place team will probably win 7 games. Somewhere 7 to 8 games. I think it'll be the bottom will be somewhere middling around 500, and the top 2 will probably be Cowboys and Eagles. I kind of roll into the same situation with Jason. Like I like the Giants defense. I just don't know how much. And I hope you're right, EJ. This for one of my fantasy squads with Daniel Jones, but. I'm not a huge believer in the man, so it's hard for me to go with the Giants. But I think I like the Eagles to break the streak here. See if they can go repeat for the division champs there.
Okay, all right. So I'm between the Cowgirls and the Eagles, and I think it's going to come down to the last game of the season. I think that is going to be the deciding factor. I know they don't play each other because Dallas plays Washington, and I guess Philadelphia probably plays whoever the other team, the Giants. There we go. So I think it's going to come down to the final game of the season, which is going to determine who wins. So whoever wins their game will get it. If they both win, I don't know. I think I might have to go with Jimmy T here. I think the Eagles break that curse and they win 2 in a row. I just don't. The Giants, I'm not sold on. I think they just had they had a good year last year. I don't think they could repeat that. I don't think Daniel Jones is the answer to repeat that. I think Saquon's going to have a great year because he's trying to get paid.
Indeed.
So I think he's going to have a solid year, but I just don't think it's going to produce anything better than what they might have done last year. And then the Commanders, I mean, yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with it.
They're gonna have a good defense, and if they get any better QB play, they'll be competitive because they got weapons, man. They got weapons on offense.
I think Sam Howell's gonna actually be decent for them.
Yeah, Chase Young can come back healthy. I mean, that defensive line is top 5 in the league.
Yeah,
Deron Payne, Chase Young,
Jonathan
Sweat, Montez Sweat, yeah. What'd you say, Marcus? No, not Marcus Allen.
Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen, yeah. I mean, it's hard to look around the league and find better four than those guys up front. So
No, you're right. So health. I mean, but health is for any team.
Any team. So
We'll see
nobody's
how it
picking the
goes.
Cowboys, huh?
Black Cat's going from their franchise. It might uplift them. And they got Magic. I forgot they got Magic now. Only you know when you bring Magic into the mix, he's a part owner now. Team.
I mean, let's be real. We all know the Cowboys are going to find a way to just mess up. You know, you can't trust them. But whatever.
Oh man.
Let's move on to NFC West. So we got Arizona, the Rams, the 49ers, and Seattle. I mean, we could probably cut the Cardinals out right away, so it don't even matter about them.
Rams
but
too.
within there, I mean, yeah, the Rams as well. So I don't know. Are we looking at a two-horse race possibly between the 49ers and Seattle, or we just feel the 49ers are just above the rest in that division?
They're a cut above the rest. 49ers are just that's such a well put together team. Like if they get Nick Bosa back,
They did. Why wouldn't they? He just signed a mega deal.
You didn't see it, EJ. Yeah,
a mega deal. The highest ever paid defensive end.
170 million total, 122 million guaranteed.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Shout out.
His brother got 102 million guaranteed. So
well, you know what? Yeah. Game over. Game over. I did not know they paid that man rightfully so. Shout out to those two brothers from South Florida, but rightfully so. Like, yeah, they got Nick Bosa. Yep. St. Thomas Aquinas. Yep. Yo, that's it then. I mean, talk about from quarterback, running game, receiving.
Quarterback, huh?
Yeah, bro. Don't you do that to Brock Purdy. Don't you do that to him.
That's his guy.
Okay.
See, you
like all these backup guys, Brock.
Hey, Purdy ain't
Rush.
He's a starter now.
If it weren't for that injury, they might have made it to the Super Bowl. That's how locked in those boys were. But we're gonna see this year.
All right. So you feel he is going to do what he did last year or exceed what he did last year?
I think he understands his role on this team. We don't need you to go out there and make the spectacular play. You know, maybe extend the play every now and again, but you got weapons everywhere. Weapons everywhere. And you got one of the dopest offensive lines in the league. Like, this is literally, it's just don't crash the car. That's all. Like, Jimmy G would do weird stuff. He'll have games where he complete like 5 passes. Like, what are you doing, Jimmy? Like, you got the weapons. So I think Brock Purdy understands the system. I think that he's perfect compliment because he don't have no ego. He's just back there like, yo, Debo, you need the ball? I got you. Kittle, I got you. Ayuk, I got you. Like, where you wanted it? Run the ball. Like, 49.
EJ, I'll say this actually. I think you're shortchanging your guy a little bit. I felt like my Kyle Shanahan opened up the offense a little bit more when Brock Purdy was back there.
He did.
I really did. I thought they were letting him to move it a little bit. So
he let it rip. Yeah, more so than Jimmy would. Yeah, but it wasn't
that makes them more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jason, so for my pick here, you kind of stole my thunder in the last one. You're coming down to the last week. They're going to be tied. There's going to be tiebreakers. I thought about this division a ton, and not to the point where I did too much research because it just started to give me a headache. But I really think that there's going to be multiple tiebreakers for this division between Seattle and 49ers. I think they're both going to go 5-1 in the division. I think they're going to split their head-to-head. So I think it's going to come down to conference wins, who they play, who they don't. Maybe it leans in Seattle's favor because 49ers will have a little bit more of a difficult record because they'll play first-place teams as their alternate games. But I think it comes down to multiple tiebreakers. I think they finish with the same record. I think they both go 5-1 in the division. They split their head-to-head. I like what Seattle's done. They started off with their 2 tackles on the outside. They were both rookies last year. Now they're going into their second year. They added Jackson Smith-Njigba to go with DK Metcalf as Tyler Lockett's getting a little bit older. They got the running game going with Kenneth Walker. They addressed the defensive line. I like Seattle a little bit. I do. I hope Geno can do what he did last year. I really do.
Yeah,
so I think So I think Gino had a fluke season.
Jason
Um,
always with these flukes and
so
luckies and all
I
that. He don't never
don't
want to give. You're holding the man down. You're holding
look
these men down, Jason. And I don't
look.
like it.
That
I'm
was the
just saying.
you know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He he had a great year last year, and I think it's going to stay in last year. Because let's be real. This isn't like it was his first rodeo. So we know we've seen what he is capable of and what he has done. And I just think last year was a nice redemption story. But I think it ends last year. And I think
Pete
that's
Carroll
it.
believes.
Huh?
Believes in that man. I said Pete Carroll believes in
He had no choice. Who's the backup? He has to believe in him.
him. Drew Lock.
So you're going with the 49ers?
I'm going with the 49ers. I mean,
Exactly.
I feel like that's a no-brainer. That's a
Hey,
Well,
no-brainer.
yeah, I mean, you want to get any argument from me. I pick the 49ers to win the division every year. I pick them to be in the NFC Championship every year because I'm a huge fan of the coach and the offensive play style, and they built their defense from the defensive line back. They got two of the better linebackers in the game. But I like what the Seattle team has done. I think it comes down to the very end.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's jump into the North. The Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions.
I think I'm about to go with the Vikings. I was almost leaning of going with the Lions, but I think that Justin Jefferson and just his greatness teamed up with TJ Hawkinson and Kirk. I mean, for all his, faults, playoff faults, he can sling it. Like a regular season, he can sling it.
And his 4 p.m. faults and
Well,
primetime faults.
well, man got a few faults. But comparatively to the rest of that division, I think they're gonna be all right. I'm gonna go with the Vikings. I like Justin Jefferson, and I think TJ Hawkinson is a nice 1-2 combo with Kirk.
Okay.
So yeah, as long as they play before 4, I didn't look at their schedule to see how many primetime games they have. Hopefully it's not too many.
You probably should have done that.
Hopefully it's not too many. All 1:00 games.
All right, Jimmy T, tell us why the Bears are going to win the division.
I still think they're a couple years away from competing in the
Okay,
division.
all right. I thought you were going to hit us with some.
No, I'm going with the Lions. I'm going with
Okay.
the Lions. I like what the Lions have done. Top 5. We've talked about offensive line a lot in this show. I think their unit is somewhere in the top 5 that they built from the front back there. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, gives them an additional explosive weapon on the offensive side of the ball. If they could ever get Jameson Williams to play a football game with them, they could be even more dangerous. But we'll see how that ends up working out. But I like the Lions. I love Green Bay's defense. I don't think they're as bad as they were last year. But I'm gonna go with probably the sure thing in this division, in my opinion.
The sure
kneecap
thing.
dead.
Okay. So real quick to answer your question, EJ, they play 5 primetime games, the Vikings, and then they play 1, 2. As of right now, they have 2 4:00 games, but then they have 3 games. Well, no, 2 games that are to be determined. So they could turn into primetime games because one is at Cincinnati, and then it's the last game of the season at Detroit. So depending on where the division looks at the end of the year, that Detroit game could turn into the Sunday night football game. So that would be another prime time. And then that Cincinnati game, depending on how both teams look, could be another prime time slot or whatnot. So
no takebacks, EJ.
Based off of that, you know what? So by looking at their schedule before I made my pick, I might have to jump on the Lions bandwagon here because I think the Vikings got too many nighttime games, and I don't see it. But in all seriousness, I think the Vikings could win, and it's funny because Jim, you were saying the Bears are a few years away. I think the Lions are still another year, maybe a year, 2 at most away. I think last year was a nice, like, okay, we see what Dan Campbell's doing here. All right, putting this team together. They playing, they're winning games. They're not the laughing stock. Fans aren't coming with paper bags over their heads. So, I think what he's doing is great, but I need to see consistency. So I just don't know if they're going to be there yet. At least with Minnesota, for the last few years, they've at least been consistent. Maybe not necessarily winning the division because obviously Green Bay had Aaron Rodgers. But I think they've always been around. So I think with Aaron Rodgers gone, I think it's Minnesota's to lose, but the Lions are on their tail. Like I think the Lions are like right there, but I think they're just maybe a year out, maybe another piece offensively to really get them there. Because I still don't believe in Jared Goff. Like I'm not sold on him as their quarterback. I think he's serviceable. I think I'll put him in the category of like Cooper Rush and Brock Purdy.
Oh,
You just manage the game. Just don't make the mistake. What would you say? You drive a Ferrari or something like that. You just don't crash it. Like you got good players around him. You just don't mess up.
Don't disrespect Brock Purdy. Don't do that. I know you had the Cooper Rush. Come on now. Anyways, I like Jared Goff. I think for how they did him in LA and what he had to go to Detroit, I mean, he could have folded. He didn't fold. You know what I mean? Like he'd be out there, he'd be trying to slang it.
He was terrible in LA.
Well, he hasn't been terrible in Detroit.
He went to a Super Bowl.
Who
played what? He played. Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl.
When did he go to the Super Bowl?
They went to the Super Bowl.
Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots. They lost to the Patriots.
Okay.
Yeah, like he played. I think it was his second season with the Rams. They went to the Super Bowl, and then something happened between him and McVay. It seemed real personal.
Yeah,
they tried to get him up out of there as the way that they did.
I realized he sucked.
Well, I'm with EJ on this one. I like what Jared Goff has done since he's been in Detroit. I do think Minnesota is going to be the class of the division offensively. With obviously we talk about Justin Jefferson, but they added Jordan Addison, which is a little bit more of an explosive option than Adam Thielen. But I'm just not. They've had some attrition on the defensive side of the football, so they might be in a lot of high scoring games. So if they get into,
I'll tell you this though. When has Green Bay gotten it wrong with quarterbacks? It just seemed like who they plugged in.
I'm pretty sure Jason and I tried to make this point with you last season, and you were opposing us. Was you not, Jason? Do you remember this?
I think
what I will say is Green Bay got Matt Flynn played. You know what I'm saying? Like Matt Flynn got paid for playing in Green Bay. It's something about Green Bay.
And then didn't take a snap as a starter in Seattle after he got paid. That was crazy.
Russ Wilson said, "No, that job's mine." Like 2 games, but I ain't gonna lie to you, he threw for like 330 yards for Green Bay.
Yeah, one game he got paid.
I think Green Bay will be okay. I mean, it's going to be growing pains because Jordan Love. Let's be real, he hasn't played anything.
Poor guy though. So did you see Watson and Dobbs might not play? They both have hamstring injuries this weekend. He's going to start his first game without his 2 offensive weapons on the team.
I mean, it is what it is. Nobody has any high expectations for Green Bay anyway. So it's going to be a heavy dose of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon mixed in with whoever he's going to throw the ball to. But, I mean, nobody's going into the season with, like, these high expectations for Green Bay. But like you said, I mean, they haven't gotten it wrong at quarterback. But then again, they've only had 2 quarterbacks really in the last, 20-plus years. It's been either Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. That's it. So it's not like they've had a carousel of quarterbacks.
If you're right, you're right, though. You don't have more opportunities to be wrong. So just get it right the first time. You don't have to do it.
So, they've been right in the last, 30-plus years now?
So, 30 years of success at the position.
So, they haven't had to worry about a quarterback. It's the first year that Packers fans are like, well, we don't really know what we got.
No,
They haven't had to worry about that.
I think Packers fan, anybody that I've spoken to, I know your cousin's a Packers fan. Does he feel good about Jordan Love?
He likes him.
Okay, see, Packers fans feel real confident about how their quarterback carousel is going there.
To feel that way, it's them.
Yeah, well, I honestly, if I was in their position too, because I think the argument that we had last season that you were opposed to, EJ, was would you switch your quarterback, what you've had in quarterback in the last 20 years, with another team? I can't remember what team we were comparing it to, but Green Bay was the one, and you were like, no. like, what are you talking about? It's Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Those two guys are going to be wearing gold jackets. Why would you not take the last 20 years of quarterbacks, even though they only won 2 Super Bowls? You would take that all day long. All day long.
I don't know. I don't recall this. I don't recall this.
EJ, you know how I like to go dig up receipts now. I'll dig it up.
All right, before you get to digging, let's dive into this last division here. So we are now in the South, right? NFC South.
NFC South.
So Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, and Tampa. All right, now this is our Firestorm division. So who knows what's gonna happen here? So, you know what? I don't even know what to expect to come out of y'all's mouth right now. So, EJ, let us know who is going to win this division.
It's really easy for me. It's who that. It's the Who Dat Nation.
Okay.
The Saints. I mean, they still have the core of their defense, which is a really good defensive unit. So going against
old though.
They are, but I mean, look at the quarterbacks they're going against. Bryce Young, a rookie. Baker Mayfield. I mean, we haven't seen Baker Mayfield play good in years. Who is the other?
Ritter.
See, I didn't even know the man's name. Ritter. I don't know if Ritter's the answer for them either. So, I mean, if I'm gonna take a quarterback out of the 4 now, I'm gonna take Derek Carr. Like he's done it. I mean, I think I'll say he was better than average. He's better than average, Derek Carr.
I mean, he also had Devontae Adams he was throwing to last year too. So
that was 1 year. You know, he didn't always have Devontae, but even then, like he always
the year they got benched and run out of town too. Same year he had Devontae Adams.
Well, you know what, man?
True.
Josh McDaniels was never sold on Derek Carr. He never wanted Derek Carr.
Nah, he didn't.
You know, he wanted to bring in his own guy, Jimmy G.
Jimmy G is not I'd rather Derek Carr than Jimmy G.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's that dang Patriots love connection. They always want to go and get their guys. So even Bill Belichick, he was trying to keep him over time. Like, it's craziness. But they like what they like. They like to go get their old former players. So
all right. So who that?
Brought him to the Raiders. They like what they like.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy T.
I'm looking at the record of this division. I mean, the Bucks 8-9. That was with Tom Brady. 7-10, 7-10, 7-10 for the Saints, Panthers, and Falcons. So the Firestorm is
they would have won most of those games for the Falcons last year.
Well, here's the deal, and that's why I'm going with the Falcons. Arthur Smith won 7 games with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback. And he was not good last year. He got benched eventually. Yeah. Towards the end of the year. They're going to run the football. They've added some pieces on the defensive line. I mean, Saints are old, man. That old-ass team you talking about, EJ. Right. I mean, bro, they're our age.
Cam Jordan balled last year. Marcus Lattimore.
Cam Jordan is one of my favorite players in NFL. I love Cam Jordan. He's a good player.
Still getting it.
These guys are old, man. I mean, they just won't give up. They won't rebuild. It's gonna be Indianapolis. They keep bringing in these old ass quarterbacks, and eventually they're gonna get to where they have to draft Anthony Richardson and have to get rid of everybody. That's what's gonna happen.
Tyrann Mathieu.
He's older. I love the Honey Badger, but he's older. He's probably like 35 now, right? And that's not saying that he's not a great player. Youth wins.
He's probably about that. He's probably about 35 because he played with Landry and Beckham. He was what, like probably a freshman.
OBJ is 30. Like, you're not that old. Yeah.
I thought they were older. I thought they were
30.
older. Whatever.
Let's see.
Nevertheless, but I'm with you there on that one, Jimmy T.
He's
I'm
31,
going
so he's not that old. My bad, Jason. Go ahead.
I'm going with Atlanta as well. I think Ritter is going to be the best quarterback in that division.
Ritter.
Yes, and I like the Bijan at running back. I like Kyle Pitts at the tight end. I like Drake London as one of the receivers. I think that they have weapons and they are going to put up a lot of points. And now defensively, who knows what they might look like. But I honestly think Atlanta is going to win that division. They are going to surprise everyone and just they're going to come away with it. And I think they are going to be hands down the best team in that division.
Man, y'all are disrespecting the Saints. Yeah.
I don't think it's as hands down as Jason is saying. I do think the Saints are going to have something to say about it.
Down.
The man.
The Saints. What are the Saints going to say? What are they going to say? Who is Derek Carr throwing the ball to?
Saints had Tom Brady's number, and their defense had Tom Brady's number. You telling me that freaking Bryce Young and Lil Ritter and Baker Mayfield, they're going to be scared of that? Come on now. Come on now.
All right. You worried about old people trying to run after young people. You see what happened to Kevin Hart. So
there's a video out there that looks very similar. It's in my phone. It's in the archives, though. It hadn't gotten out yet. I'm waiting for somebody to make me an offer.
Indeed.
I might bust it out on your birthday, Jason, when you turn 40.
Oh, really? Okay. That's how I think about that. Laughable.
You should have never brought up Kevin Hart. It would have never came up if you didn't try to talk about my dog Kevin Hart like that.
Anywho, all right, Mr. EJ, what you got us with? You got us with the trivia of the week, right?
I do. Got a little piece of trivia for y'all.
All right, hit us with it.
So, name the coach or the coaches. There's coaches. There's only 3 though, so I'll give you that have won a Super Bowl and an NCAA championship.
Dick Vermeil is one of them, right?
No, sir.
No
Dick Vermeil.
All right, so Super Bowl.
One is Pete Carroll.
Indeed, Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete Carroll.
Yep. I thought Dick Vermeil was
with
one of them.
USC and Seattle. And let's think. Is this an active head coach?
So there's 2 more. That's 2 more coaches. You guys only name one.
Are they alive? Are they active?
They're alive. Yes, they are alive.
Okay.
But
they're not active.
No, these 2 aren't active.
Okay, so I got the one active.
Let's see. I'm trying to think here now.
One of them was pretty easy. I just think you guys probably it's been a little minute, so you probably like, dang.
Oh, I'm blanking on his name, but Cowboys and Hurricanes.
Cowboys, yes, Johnson.
Blanking on his name.
Johnson.
I didn't want to be like he coached our team, Jason, but
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson, number 2.
That's
number
right.
3, I don't know if you guys will get.
Older, get us an error.
He used to be the college coach of Oklahoma.
Man, say he gave us an error. He gave us a team.
Yeah, he gave us a team.
All right.
So he's an Oklahoma coach.
Mm-hmm. Same era though as Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, no.
Dang, who? Where did Mike Shanahan come from?
College wise,
he's not okay. That's not the right answer then.
He's not the guy. I don't know if you guys are gonna get this, and it's almost
Lou
a
Holtz
too. Lou Holtz, nah, not my dog Luke's.
Did Lou Holtz coach in the NFL?
But nah, not Joe Gibbs either.
Nah, I got nothing.
I got nothing on the third one.
Okay, so the third one was Barry Switzer, and that's only he came in, and took over Jimmy's team.
Cowboys. Yeah.
Jones was like, I can get anybody to coach this team to a Super Bowl. And he went and got the coach at Oklahoma. They won the Super Bowl.
They've been hexed ever since.
Yeah, they have.
Every since.
All right. All right, those were some good ones there. All right, Jimmy T, what you got us with on the kicks of the week?
All right, so Fancy sharing the screen here. Let's see what we got here. All right, we're gonna switch it up. All right. Oh, can we see it? It's a little small on there.
The New Balances.
Yep. So these are the
Scroll it. We can see it.
Again, shout out to Sneaker News for providing the latest news and updates. Got to give them a shout out. This is the Never That debut of the 3 collaborative New Balance 550s at the Paperboy pairs. 130 is the retail. I like the green and black ones, but you guys can choose for yourself. Switch it up.
Yeah.
Get away from the Nikes for a little bit.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
It's so wild. Yeah, people like love New Balances up here. Like,
it came back. It came back strong for sure.
I was shocked. Like I was like, I remember New Balances used to be in Payless. Like I was.
What do you remember? Do you remember when it's back? It's back being real cheap now. But do you remember when Champion made its comeback? They were charging. They were charging like $50, $60 for a T-shirt. Like, bro, I used to get this at Kmart.
Right.
They're like, what's Kmart? And I was like, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I went to Kith and they had like the New Balances in the glass case. I was like, man,
yeah. Well, I mean, look at the retail. They're $130.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
crazy.
Some of the dunks are not even that expensive. So they've come back strong. It all comes back around. It's a cycle.
Definitely does. But fellas, another great show, another great night. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to Kicks, Cleats, and Athletes.
Like us and subscribe us.
That's right. I was just going to say, follow us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. We're going to start doing live shows. So, hey, follow us, watch us, stream us. iHeart, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you're listening to your podcast, you can find us.
We everywhere.
We are.
Everywhere.
So until next week, we out.
We out.
Yes, sir.
All right.